Hello.
How are you doing?
It's been a heavy day.
Absolutely.
Say, you can concur,
I can concur.
but I'm I let me shift that. This morning was very heavy, and I have been lightening my load since then. So, I'm actually doing pretty good, but I'm processing lots of stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was good. I had therapy this morning and she hit something. So, we'll
Well,
say that.
that might be our topic tonight, man.
Uh-oh.
I know we were supposed to talk about when we fall, but life be life, and I didn't get to that. And I had a impactful conversation. I mean, I had some thoughts in my mind and what I wanted to talk in on that today, but I was planning to leave work to get those down on paper and send them to you, but left work
Didn't get
like
there?
yeah, I didn't get there, and then I had a conversation with one of my sons, my middle son Dexter. So,
All right, well, we'll roll with it, but everybody, welcome to tonight's episode of Misfits Managed. We're glad you're here. Glad to um, bring you into our things and our this is how life goes and our messy because life is messy and we get curveballs and we deal with them and you get to experience it here live. So yay!
well, it reminds me of the beginning. You know, we pulled away from scripting things and just going by
Yeah,
how we felt that day. In these last few weeks, we've had structure, and it's been good. But I was like, today I'm just not feeling structure.
not feeling
Much
structure.
as I want to talk about when we fall, because I think that's a great topic, but
Yeah,
we'll have to table that till next week, maybe, or
yeah.
circle back to it later. So,
All right. Well, um, before we begin, let's go ahead and say, you love hearing all of our stuff. So like, subscribe, and share us with everyone you know. Subscribe so that you always know when we are live or doing things. All the stuff. Like, subscribe, and share. Share, subscribe, and like. Since I can actually talk now, I usually can't say that, and I usually get tongue twisted.
like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, share, and like.
Hey, you got it on the first try.
Right.
Um,
I said it a little slow.
yeah. um, but Misfits Managed Nation, here we go. Here we go. Um,
Raw and uncut.
that's how we roll.
Yeah.
Um, well, so let's see. My past couple weeks have been interesting.
So,
Interesting.
how so?
Um, interesting in a roller coaster good kind of way. Um, I we keep talking about seasons of release, and mine just keeps getting better. Um,
Right.
for real. I am letting things go by the day, and it's so funny story. I walked into the chiropractor this morning, first thing in the morning, and I go to the chiropractor once a month because um, I was having such like tightness and musculoskeletal everything, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And he always um, there's always like a couple specific places where he cracks. most of it being in my neck and my shoulders because that is where I hold my stress. But it was funny because I walked in today and he goes, "Okay, um, are we kind of working on the same culprits?" And I said, "Yeah, except for it's a little bit different because I said honestly, I feel like I've released some tension in the past couple weeks, and now like my body and everything is sitting differently, and I could almost feel it more."
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is a good and a bad thing, but, um, he laughed at me and he goes, "Yeah, isn't it funny the way our bodies work?" You know, maybe he goes, "What happens when you don't just live in stress all the time anymore? Your body shifts because things loosen and relax, and all of a sudden, they're not sitting how they used to." So I was dealing with that today, early in the morning, and, like, my neck is still sore. Well, so then I hop on a therapy call.
But wait a minute, so your body is adjusting because it's realigning coming out of survival mode,
Mhm.
and that in itself is powerful.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, it's interesting to see what happens because instead of being like my constant, like tightness in my back, constant tightness like in my throat and everything else, I'm much more relaxed. You
So
wanna come
what?
say hi? Okay, come say hi real quick. Um, Luke's gonna come make an appearance because he loves to. So here is the Luke.
Hey, Luke.
Hi. um, but yeah, it was interesting. And I got, I got on my appointment and I I already had the feeling. I was like, all right, today we're gonna go deep and today we're gonna hit it.
Whoa,
And
whoa, whoa,
so
whoa, whoa! We still on the first one.
what?
We still on the chiropractor.
Oh,
I'm still
okay.
chilling on the chiropractor. So obviously, you got the physical things going on. What did that feel like mentally and emotionally?
Um Mentally, honestly, I'm kind of laughing at myself and m- because I can because I can tell it feels different and I can pop my neck deeper because I can finally get to that. It's just funny because I'm like, okay, I can tell it feel, and he didn't say anything. He didn't mention it. He just kind of, did his thing and
Well,
as part
did you feel more creative? Did you feel more in space of being free?
um not after the chiropractor.
Okay.
Not after that. That was more of just like I can move around better, although I will probably get more to that after a couple of days because right now it's still pretty sore. Like
Okay. Okay.
he cracked. It needed to. But it's interesting because it's very much that principle of it's like you gotta go through the soreness and the pain to have your body wash out the toxin.
Mm.
Literally what the muscles are doing is cracking all that, releasing whatever is in there. And like I always thought it was funny. Like obviously with like massages or anything other like active movement, physical stuff, it's okay, hydrate really well because you're, rehydrating your muscles and everything like that.
Yeah, you want to
But
flush that out too.
you still have to do that with chiropractor because um which I learned this when I started going to him. I did not realize this before, but like the more your joints are out of alignment and everything, at the spot of misalignment, you feel like you have a knot because your muscles are the muscle and the tissue around it are inflamed. So when they pop it back into place, obviously it's still inflamed. So it's got to release that and it has to detoxify.
Hmm. I,
And
I experienced similar stuff as I went back to the gym. This is, I think,
yeah,
what, third week or so back in the gym. And yes, I
yeah,
feel that pain, but man, that release after I drink that water and watch it flow, those toxins
yeah,
flow out of your body.
yeah,
Man.
yeah. And
Okay.
here's the
So,
Cooper.
hey, Cooper.
We're just
Oh,
popping in really quickly because I saw Cool Hand Luke was here along with Cooper and everything along those lines. But I was just gonna, since y'all were talking about healing and all along those lines, give y'all a favorable report because I know that Coach G is aware of this. I think that I mentioned the last time, but Dad's surgery went quite well. He's actually recovered. He's off the ventilator and actually had the pacemaker reestablished today and everything along those lines. So even though he's 84 years old, he's not your typical 84-year-old. So his recovery is going quite well and is doing it much better than expected. Even his own doctors and nurses were going like, "Wait a minute, you are recovering not as the kind of recovery that most people in their 80s would have." But like I said, he's a part of what he has done in life has been an avid exerciser because he used to play tennis back in the day, and even as a
yep,
young man in his 40s or 50s had played and gotten involved in swimming and bicycling. And I think he still does an occasional bicycling. And I know he's very active in the swimming and everything. As a matter of fact, if he has his way, he'll probably be trying to swim in another 2 or 3 weeks to help his healing and everything. But I know something you talk about, Coach G, is something that they are definitely asking him to do as part of that healing process, which is that lovely concept of rest. And as he like to put it, that's something I can do. I can definitely get me some sleep and everything because rest is an important part of the healing process as well. So just wanted to let folks know that things are improving into that response since I heard y'all talking about the healing journeys.
Well, that's awesome. That's a great praise report, Marcus.
yeah. I'm glad it went well.
Yeah.
Yes,
My
he's doing
screen got moved.
doing really well. And like I said, I keep hearing from his lady love because she's got a family text chain. So even if you don't get by yourself, you can find out how he's doing and everything. But yes, it's going
Yeah,
quite well, and it's good to have a support system behind you as well. Because I know one of the things y'all talk about is that support system. So I know he appreciates the prayers, the love, and the support that people are giving him. I think one of his friends even found him some famous or favorite kind of Mexican Coke that he likes as well, in order to just kind of like please his palate that he wanted at that particular time and everything. So definitely it's good
yeah.
to have people that have got your back.
Prayers of the righteous availeth much.
There you go.
Mhm.
Okay, so Coach, I want to know, since you've been back at the gym, I know you've had some mornings where you are crazy sore and tired, and I want to hear your experience because I know you know this too, being a athlete, but when you start doing rigorous exercise, when you very first start for probably what would you say first couple weeks or so,
Hmm.
you're exhausted and you're just like this sucks. You push through all of that and your body's like, I gotta start making more energy, I gotta start burning more, and so all of a sudden, boom, energy, you
Then it
feel
starts
better.
burning that fat off.
Yeah. So how has it been for you getting back in the swings? And
Well, um, at 53, so 3 years ago when I did this, I lost 100 pounds.
yeah,
So I've gained about 30 of that back. 30, yeah, probably right around 30 pounds,
okay,
30 pounds of that back. But this time is so much harder for some reason.
really,
I mean, it is night and day. It's like I know I need to do it. I try to push myself to do it, but man, I don't know. Those 3 years, it's so hard this time, and even in the workout, um, I just that 3 year layoff, I feel like I've lost so much strength, I've lost so much flexibility. But that being said, those those sports fundamental movements feel so good.
So good.
Feels so good. I mean, I'm hurting, but man, it's just being in that motion of activity again like that just feels so good.
Yeah.
Um, I made a decision. My partner is really my trainer partner. He's really busy with a big project over the next 2 weeks. So I told him I'm going to table off the workouts because he's going to be hit and miss. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. No stress. Let's just table it for 2 weeks. And I'm gone back to my walking. So 10,000, at least 10,000 steps a day, stretching, sit ups, push ups, squats.
Okay.
And that has really helped me a ton. So it's still a struggle to get up at 5 o'clock.
I'm gonna start calling you.
Oh, Jesus. I know you're up, but it's still a struggle to get up at 5 o'clock. But
Yeah.
once I get out there and start, and you're in that good fresh air, and it just feels so good. So, like, 2 Achilles tears. So I have to be very particular with my legs because they're very weak right now. So the the walking, I think, will bring that fluidity back to my body and that flexibility back to my body. So in 2 weeks, when I get back out there in the gym with my boy AL, we call him Black Chocolate. We'll have him on the show because it's either Black Chocolate or the Black Hulk. But I mean, he's a big boy. He's a big boy.
That's
So
funny.
I'm like, dude, I can't lift that. Mano a mano, you'd be like, the first week, I'm like, oh yeah, man, yeah, let's just lift
Let's
this.
do this.
So I'm like, no, bro, I'm not gonna hurt myself getting out here. I'm gonna ease myself into this. So the walking will give me that flexibility and that fluidity back into my legs, so I can do more stuff.
Hey, Coach and Lauren, along those same lines, and I'm cracking up with you talking about EJ and his exercise regimen. But how important do you think it is to in the road to recovery and getting that back that health journey to do that walk and everything? Because I keep saying, and I'll just admit it, that I am being lazy because laziness and procrastination can be our weakness. I think I brought that up to one of your past guests, but there's a lake not that far from here that during the beginning of COVID, I used to enjoy walking, and I need to get back to walking around that lake because it's got some geese and some other good atmosphere that you can enjoy while you are walking and everything. But as y'all know, because I don't hide it, I'm getting around by mass transit and everything along those lines. And a couple of times recently, not today because we've been having torrential rains and everything, but on other days, I would be waiting at the bus stop and I'd be like, I'm not going to wait for the bus. I'm going to walk that distance because it's probably about a 2 mile walk, maybe a 3 mile walk between the bus stop and the uh, bus station and everything. And I can tell you that that short walk was feeling very good for my health and definitely was probably helping my breathing and exercise and all along those lines. But I know that I had been lazy, so I was glad to make that conscious decision because, maybe one bus went by me or maybe I just didn't feel like waiting. And I was like, skip it. I'm just going to take that journey and everything. Now, I would not be lying if I said that I didn't stop maybe on one of those journeys at a restaurant because I was also getting hungry and everything along those lines. So I might have defeated the purpose and everything in that space. But I just wanted y'all's talk about the importance of exercise.
Oh, Lauren is I mean, I can't stop. I mean, it's hard to get moving, but once I get moving, the benefits, and I mean, there's some things in my family health wise that I I literally can't stop doing this. So I got medical issues that I'm trying to prevent by doing it. So that's the reason to do it. The mental benefits. What is that Jennifer just said?
I can put it back up there.
Oh yes, yeah. Starting a day with a morning routine. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
And just how that strengthens your mental health to be in that routine.
Well, so speaking of that, we all know I love a good morning routine. I'm an early bird, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to make Coach G mad tomorrow when I call him at 5 a.m. and tell him to get his butt up and walk. um, I have actually come to really enjoy my walks in the dark. Check yourself, bud. But to Jennifer's point, I can clearly tell a difference in the days where I do not move and go walk or run, and the days where I do. The days where I don't, not to say I feel bad necessarily, but I'm just a little bit more scattered and, however you want to say that. But the days where I actually get up and make myself even a 10-minute jog or, fast walk or whatever it is for you. The days where I do that, I am more focused. I'm in a better mood. I can handle curveballs, whatever that decides to be that day, much better. And honestly, I mean, as cliche as it is, and you hear so many dietitians and whoever else say this, is that you just tend to make better choices, better food choices. You make the conscious decision to just be more active and, heck, even go upstairs rather than take an elevator.
Right.
So just starting your day like that. And let me say, it has taken me a while to get my full structure, because I have a slightly complicated structure for a person, but it's quite huge.
Well, I think for a person 50 and up, and and Lauren, obviously you're under that, but 50 and up, we've motion. I'm learning motion is life.
Yeah.
And to your point, the days that I don't include that motion, I feel that in every area of my life.
Yep.
The days that I do include that motion, I'm better, significantly better in every other area of my life. So, Mark, to your point, you got to do it, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's what I was going to ask you, and that was actually, I guess, more directed toward Lauren, since she does a lot of this exercise coaching in addition to her other kind of coaching. So apparently, she's going to call you at 5 in the morning. I'm just glad she doesn't have my number, but you have it, and you'll probably give it to her. So she might find it at 5 in the morning as well and everything. But what is your thoughts around people that are able to do this notion of quick exercise and everything? Because I know some people, they are waiting for their lunch break, or maybe they're starting their day early and everything, and they don't have that hour, or don't think they have that hour in the early part of the day or in the latter part of the evening. So are there any quick exercises that you would suggest? Because I know during the pandemic, I had some friends that were into yoga and other things that they could do maybe in a little bit tighter time frame if they did not have that hour to go for that walk or to go for that jog.
Well, first of all, I'd say that's an excuse. One that I have every once in a while myself. I'm human. My run, or sometimes I don't know, fast walk or whatever I'm doing, is 10, maybe 15 minutes. It is not drastic. It is not long, nor like it is in the complete pitch black. Nobody can see me. Nobody can see what I look like, except if somebody else is out running or walking the dog and has a bright light, which please don't. But anyway, a side note, I would say, and I'm do the excuses, and sometimes I'll be like, I just don't have the time, or I didn't have 5 seconds to myself. I would say find 10 minutes. And when I say that, I used to go walk around a local little office park.
Mm-hmm.
in my skirt, in my dressy clothes, threw my headphones in, and I went and did a full lap. I took flip flops with me because I can run in heels, but I don't want to run in heels all the time. So I took my flip flops and I did a lap. Put my tunes in, it was the same tunes every day. It doesn't take that long, um, even if it's walking or a lap around your building, even if it's walking up and down stairs for, you know, a few minutes multiple times a day. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be outside. It doesn't have to be, in fancy workout gear or using weights. Move your body, use your legs. Heck, get a cheap version of, I don't know, they got a lot of different walking desks these days. Like, you can find some way to be active. Heck, set a timer on your phone, maybe at the top of every hour, and get up and do 10 jumping jacks or something like that. Like, it doesn't have to be extensive. And for as many of people who work from home or wherever, nobody's watching you.
Well, so that's where I'm at. I walk from my desk when I get, so in the morning I'm committed to 2.5 miles.
Okay.
So that's just around 5,000 steps. So I'm already halfway there. A little
Yeah.
bit over sometimes, but so, and then if I walk from my desk in my office to, you go through our office and into the hospital, St. Joseph Hospital, out the main door, through the parking lot, and there's a tree. And being the coach of me touching the line, so I got to walk and touch the tree, and then walk back. If I do that 4 times a day, then there's my other 5,000 steps.
There you go.
And then I set my alarm for every 45 minutes. If I don't have a student with me, then I sit down and do simple 10 push-ups, 10 squats.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you said that and everything. And for what you just said, Lauren, when the pandemic started, I became friends to some degree, and I need to reach back out to them, with a group called Daybreakers. But they were like those people that used to do the Daybreaker parties throughout the country. So they're doing like on the rooftops and stuff like that. And that they would be doing them like Daybreaker parties in the pandemic. So yes, I will not lie. I was dancing around in my apartment. It might have even been this apartment and definitely one of the other apartments, because as you just said, nobody was watching it. So I could be as out of step as I wanted to be. Every once in a while they would throw maybe some Zoom clips, but it was only like a second or two. So even if anybody was watching me on those Zoom clips, it was only for a minute. And by that time I had gotten rid of whatever those inhibitions were. And it was just fun to have that space and everything. They would also do some yoga stuff. And now they've gone to doing more in-person kind of events, because that's where they started before the pandemic, and after the pandemic they became more of a virtual space. And during that virtual time, I probably went on about 15 of those, or maybe 10 to 15, and enjoyed myself with them, because like you said, I wasn't in my head. I was just enjoying my moment of dancing and all along those lines. And Lauren, one of my running jokes I have with people around my apartment complex, and you'll get it because you just mentioned the dogs, is sometimes when I see people walking their dogs, not so much their cats, because most people don't walk their cats, but when they're walking their dogs, I will ask them who's walking whom, because sometimes it looks like the people are walking, or the dog is walking the person, and not the other way around and everything. So that is one of my running jokes that I give to people in my complex, because I look at the young ladies, the young men, I'll be going like, are you sure he's walking you, or are you walking him, and everything, because I'm not sure who's walking whom in those dog kind of environments. But I'm sure you even seen that in your own house.
Well, my dog used to probably walk me because he would pull the crap out of me. But I mean, if that's what you need, walk your dog and have him pull you, have him get you running, like whatever it takes. Because I mean, especially if you're in a mental block of some sort, somebody asked me how I clear my head today when I am frustrated, when I can't figure something out. And she asked me something else too, but I gave her a plethora of ways, and I was like, And, usually that's accompanied by a 5 to 10 minute walk of some sort because get the endorphins coming, clear my head, all of that. It helps. Change
Well,
your environment.
Yeah.
all good stuff, but I want to pivot
Okay.
Pivot.
because I don't want us to jump off. I want to hear about this visit today,
Which one?
the second visit,
Okay.
therapist.
Um, so I have been, um, well, we all know I started going back because I need to work through some trauma. It is not done. Um,
And
so
we advocate for therapy here on Misfits Managed. We
yes,
support therapy.
yes. Um, and let me be perfectly clear that this is the second round for me. I went for anxiety about a year and a half ago. Um, got to where I wanted to be. And then I said, it's time for me to learn to manage this on my own. I just kind of felt in my spirit it was time to move on. And not to say that I didn't say I'm done, this isn't working, because it worked great. But it got me to where I needed to be, where when I needed to be there. Anyhow, um so now I found somebody who is specifically can help work through anxiety and trauma and from a neurodiversity aspect because apparently they can layer on each other. I didn't know that until recently. Fun fact, or not so fun. Um, so I, it's been, we've had a small handful of sessions now and kind of talked through some stuff, and it's been going really good. And I just kind of had a feeling today that um, this one was gonna hit me hard. So I kinda just, and maybe it was because I needed it to be honest. I started therapy for a reason, so let's get right to it, right? That's
Right, right.
kinda just how I roll. And so I started talking and telling her, I was like, "Yeah, um the past week has been crazy." I was telling her about some conversations I'd had and said, this has been a really, really big past week of decisions and making decisions and standing my ground and making decisions for me. Part of that has been um, enforcing boundaries. Um, and a lot of it just kind of goes back to I'm dealing with the fact that when I was a kid, I through a whole plethora of different things as I'm figuring out. Um, I didn't think I was good enough for a bunch of things. I thought I was stupid because I didn't know how to learn. And I didn't know how to tell people that I didn't know how to learn. I thought something was wrong with me. And um, so I was working through that today, and you know, it was interesting because as my face is beet red, um, obviously waterworks going.
Yeah.
Uh, she had my eyes closed per her request because we were doing something. And she said, she goes, "You almost look like you're like enjoying what we're going through." And I kind of started laughing. I was like, yeah, maybe a little bit. Not that it didn't hurt, not that I wasn't doing something that was not painful because it was, but I was I was happy to be helping the little girl inside of me that did not feel like she had a voice, who didn't know how to give herself a
Mm.
voice.
Yeah, that's good.
And then she said, "Is there what is there for you? Um, what emotions are coming up?" And she asked me if it was anger, and I said, "You know, there is anger, but not in the way that you would think." Um, because a lot of times from talking to other people and hearing their feedback on it, um, people have a lot of anger towards others, other situations. I know you've talked about having anger towards your father for a lot of different things. And I said, I'm not angry at anybody else. I'm The anger comes from a place of I was angry because I didn't mentally, physically know at that age how to advocate for myself. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to give myself a voice. And I mean, at that age, no, I don't. I can't explain what's wrong because I don't know. I know that something is off. Um, but today I got to go tell that little girl that everything that she was going through was not for nothing.
Right.
I got to tell her that she wasn't stupid, that um, I got to tell her she was smart and brave and that she was going to be okay and that there wasn't something wrong with her.
Mm.
I got to tell her all of those things. And, um, well, I got a lot more work to do there, but I got to start that process, and it's interesting to hear what comes up. Um, it's interesting to be able to dig through some of that stuff with somebody else because it's easy to get lost in that moment and you're in the moment and then somebody kind of gives you that outside of like, okay, let's unpack this. What are you feeling? And instead of just being there and yes, you're feeling it, but putting a name on those feelings so that you can experience it and then release it.
I love number one, all of this. I mean, that's what I was hoping to pull from you tonight, from what you were saying. Um, but I heard a lot in that, man. Um, I love the little girl going back because you know me, I'm root cause.
Oh yeah.
Root cause. So just to kind of the way I explain what you just talked about is that there was a root cause as a little girl, an event probably happened that was probably traumatic.
It
And
kind of a series. Yeah. It wasn't just one.
okay,
Yep.
that based on that stimuli, you built in protection, you built um, a wall or a house
Mm-hmm.
around you to keep yourself safe. But by doing so, you built a house out of lies,
Yeah.
untruths, um, um, what we would call stories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and then that house just over time, you just built more. You built more rooms to it. You expanded it, and to the point where now at mid 40s, early 40s, you built a neighborhood off of one lie. But I think it's so powerful. Man, Jenny's all over it today, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
But I think what's so powerful by going back to the root cause, it's truly powerful. What does that say? Truly powerful to be vulnerable, but the growth in you is amazing. Yes, you've done a great job, and our audience has just watched you heal real time in this show over the course of the show, not just today, but over the history of Misfits.
Uh-huh.
But the fact that you went back to that little girl, the root cause, and you dealt with her, and you're still dealing with her. And by the time you're done dealing with her and bring her to a place of healing, the entire house falls,
Hmm.
because all of that I just talked about was built on a house of lies. And when you tear the original foundation of lies down, the house falls. Now you get to rebuild a house on truth and fact.
Yep.
Um, to me, it's just powerful.
Well, so the finishing part of that is interesting because the therapist looked at me and she goes, "Okay, like talk to me about like what you're seeing and what you were doing." Because she's looking at me through a camera.
Mhm.
She's like, "Talk to me about what was going on." And I said, "I," and this was around the time that she said, "You look like you're enjoying it." And she was like, "What the heck?" Like, I don't think people usually enjoy that, which
Right.
probably very true. And I told her, I'm like, "You're probably right because you'll love this." In my head, I was screaming so loud that I felt like a lion as I was prying apart cage bars to let her out.
Mm,
And I was so determined and so happy to be strong enough to pry those damn bars apart
right. And set her free.
and to finally set her free.
Woo.
And I was like, yeah, I was enjoying that. Like it was like a movie scene in my head of like, here's everything I've got. Let's do this. Let's go. Like I will get you out if it's the last thing I do.
Mm. Wow, that had to be fulfilling. That's powerful.
Which is why I said earlier, after that, the rest of the day was very much a day of literally hour by hour continuing to feel lighter and reprocess all that and knowing that it is to be continued.
Well, I think so many times, especially like in a relationship, we deal with the current
Yep.
and we fix what's right in front of us. But I applaud you again for going and doing the deep, hard work and dealing with the root cause. Because again, when you tear the root cause down, you rip that band-aid off the root cause and bring healing, it brings healing to the whole house.
Yep.
So,
Well, and um I I will say this, I'm doing this obviously for me, but I'm not doing this for me. And I think that's an important thing for people to hear and for people to know. Um, I've needed to do this for a long time. I didn't have the guts. That I didn't understand that there was some trauma I needed to work through. Um, through my willingness to be open, to learn about myself, to um, just through the self exploration and letting myself honestly be me and be good
yes.
with being me. I I think it was something that you sent me within the past couple days. It was a reel, um, I think, talking about when you ask God to do stuff and he starts kicking dust up, and then all of a sudden things happen, and you find yourself in a whirlwind. It was something to that extent.
Well, maybe it
And
was the right time, and today was the right time
yeah,
because I feel like the Lord
and
always peels off layers, and He
yeah,
peels off the layer when it's appropriate.
but all of that to say, I am doing this to heal myself. So yes, I'm doing it for me,
Mhm.
but I am also doing it to break the generational trauma cycle because I refuse to put this on my kids. I refuse to put this on anyone when it is not theirs. It's not theirs to hold, and soon enough it won't any longer be mine. But um there's always been something that I saw and it has hit me, and it's probably been stewing in me for years now, is um like you're don't make your kids suffer from the same trauma that you do because you refuse to work on it, work on you, and get through it and release it. And back in that day when I read that, I kind of started laughing because I was just like, well, I'm sure I have some, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
And now that I know, now that heck, I don't even know some of it. And I'm not playing the blame game on anybody. I'm not criticizing anybody. It is very much just I am digging through the muck, doing this for me, but I'm also doing it so that the people that I love, that I care about, um,
I
that
would say
this would
those that you're destined to connect with.
right.
Good for
All
them.
those, yeah, all those people, they don't deserve whatever this was doing to me, whatever things this triggered in me. So I'm dealing with it so that they don't have to. And because honestly, I would like to be done with this. I would like to now be able to use this as I do everything else for good, helping, for helping somebody else do exactly this.
It takes one person to have the courage and muster the strength to be the point person
Yep.
for their family
Yep.
that is destined to be the one who breaks the generational curses. Because I think what you said was powerful. A couple things that how do you fight an enemy that you don't know? Is he
Mhm.
and the fact like today you put a name and a face to it. So there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about those things that so easily beset and separate me from you, from God. How do you battle those things that so easily separate and beset you and keep you from God? You put a name and a face to them now.
Mhm.
So number one, that was empowering to put that name and face because now you get to see and you know who your enemy is. They're not hidden anymore. Um, and now you can build, now that you know who they are, you can build a strategy to overcome them, to overtake them, to win that fight, to win that battle. Um, but again, I applaud you for being that point person of the generation, the point person in the family. And I believe the person that takes on that fight, all the prior generations of blessings that were lost or forfeited now will fall into your hands. So that's financial, that's spiritual, that's emotional, intellectual. All that was lost will then be returned to you.
Yeah. That would be nice. But I will say this, as gratifying as it is to be where I am now, it was not because I have not been in pain.
Right.
Um, it took so much pressure, and I was laughing so hard uh, over the weekend, or I don't know when. I was thinking about our conversation with Andrea, and she was talking about like literally kind of being broken down on the floor and being like, this is it. And I was like, I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now
Mm.
is let's be broken down on the floor. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get it out so that I can be clear and move on.
It's funny to me how we always go through periods of release at the same time.
Oh,
That's been my story for the probably the last 2 weeks. Just relationships,
really?
release of the past, and in particular, I would say my marriage, and then probably my last relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, just forgiving myself for decisions that I made, forgiving myself for things that I didn't do that maybe I should have done, or I didn't do out of ignorance that
Okay.
I, didn't know to do better. Um, Giving myself grace for trying and making an effort when, it was futile, um, because it was the right thing to do. And sometimes you just got to do what's right simply because it is the right thing to do. And
Yep.
that's the reward,
Yep.
knowing that God sees you, and maybe that person doesn't see you or hear you or understand you or see your act. But I've just, evolved to that place where I want to do just because it's right to do. Uh,
Absolutely.
and I think because I've done that, that's created space in me to love deeper and be more intimate, have a greater capacity for love and forgiveness and understanding and grace and mercy, in my current situation. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been powerful. And then just the fact that I'm able to share those things as they boil up, that there's such a massive compare and contrast now, you know, current versus, I'm just like, wow. So in the beginning, that was very difficult for me because it made me feel really stupid. Sometimes when you face things of your past, things you've said or
Mhm.
done, and you're like, what the heck was wrong with
I've never had that happen.
you? Just like, I've had to confront myself and I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? How did I not see that? And then I'm thinking about all the people that said it to me, bro, and this, and bro, that. And when you're in that, you don't want to hear that.
No.
But now looking back on it, I'm like, oh my God. But that's where I had to give myself grace because that version of me had to die
Yeah.
so that this version could live. So I had to, and just like yours, that version of you had to experience what it had to experience so that it could propel you to the place that you're at today. But we can't exist in two realms. So that part of you had to die so that this part could live.
Oh, you're making me want to throw Harry Potter out there so bad right now.
We'll
Well,
throw
I
of
had
it.
to
course,
talk with Evie about that this weekend, and I was like, oh, I got to give Gary crap for this.
Oh, we got to get her book too.
go ahead
Yeah.
and throw Harry Potter out there. Harry Potter needs to be thrown out there. I was listening to y'all as I was doing some other stuff, thinking about those folks that will be in your ear and some of those things in the past and how they can impact you and all along those lines and how that can definitely be something that you have to get out of your head and everything. And actually, I was just thinking recently because I ran into a ex and everything along those lines, and that definitely we were coming to the understanding that well, there will probably be no respark of the relationship that we can realize that we both made mistakes in the relationship and move on to at least be in a place where we can be friends and everything because we're probably having animosity toward each other and avoiding each other for a time frame and all along those lines. But now I think that we have both grown to the point where we can even be cordial with each other, and that took some growing on both of our parts, but I think that we're both at that place where we can respect each other and let each other move on with our lives. But sometimes that can be a difficult journey to go on.
Well, and I think like exactly what you're talking about, Mark, and kind of Gary was just talking about it. Um, there's a point in time, I think, when, and sometimes it's different for both people in the relationship, but you get to the point where you're ready to move on and make your peace with it. And hopefully you're both there at the same time, but sometimes you got to be okay with you moving on and letting somebody else move on when they're ready, because sometimes they're not ready and you have to let them come to that in their own time, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking, because I probably was ready years ago and everything, because I was the one, because I've told y'all this before, that moved out in that situation and all along those lines, and there was probably some animosity on their part as well as mine. But even when I saw them, because they recently popped into one of my uh, workplaces and everything, I even acknowledged what I think a lot of people don't do enough of, because I think somebody recently mentioned communications as being important in these conversations and everything. So I was even acknowledging that I will acknowledge that I made mistakes, and if, as long as you acknowledge that you made them as well. And I think that that's the important part of any of these kind of healings, is that both parties have to recognize that that guilt can be placed on both parties' side. That no
Yep.
side is totally doesn't have deniability in the relationships, because everybody
Well, but
has.
Mark, I'll have to challenge that a little bit, because I think you've got to get to a place where you apologize for your part, because some people aren't going to apologize. Some
Nope.
people are not going to accept responsibility for their actions. And all the fingers are going to be pointed at you
Right.
and all the blame on you, even though both parties know it took two.
Right.
That's part of that journey of healing, is just learning, you know what, I'm clean because I released mine.
Right.
And I forgive you for your part.
Right.
Yep.
And what you said or you did to me, even though you didn't apologize, the forgiveness is for me. You got to stew with what you did or what you said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And not everybody's going to be willing to understand their part in the relationship. And like you said, everybody's going to take their own time in understanding what their role is in the relationship. Just like, I hate to use cliches, but just like it takes two to tango, if we're talking about dance or sexual relationships and all along those lines, it takes two to deal. I saw that look on your face. It takes two to deal with the breakups as well. So it's like it takes two to tango, it takes two for the breakups as well. And so I'm sure that I don't think anybody is, and maybe I'm being a Pollyanna, but I don't think anybody is 100% innocent in any of the breakups. I think that everybody has got something going on in the relationship that they can take ownership in as well. But I could be
Yeah.
wrong. That's just my philosophy.
I agree. Even if it's 99% versus one, I mean, I think if a relationship fails, it's both parties' fault.
Right.
Yep.
I never believe it's one person.
No.
That's a whole nother show.
I was gonna say it may not be equal in part, but it is definitely it takes two to make a relationship fail.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Well, this has been
I feel better. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I
feel better not having even talk about mine. So
part two of this, G.
nope.
That was just wrong. Wait a minute. Do you mean? Hold on a second. I got to check this, Lauren. Do you mean that there's been a whole hour show? You spilled a little bit, I spilled a little bit, and somehow Coach G managed to escape? Yeah, there's got to be a part two, because he managed to escape.
he didn't escape all the way. He dug a little bit. He just didn't. It was just more of my turn. His turn will come.
What? What? I was listening. I was trying to active listen and
Oh
coach.
no, you did good.
Okay.
My time of listening will come.
Active listening is important in any conversation, any therapy, any even friendship therapy. So active listening is an important part of that and
I was
everything.
just modeling it for the audience.
There you go.
You did a good job of modeling. You did a good demonstration. Well, matter of fact, when Lauren gets the audio clip of this, she will clip this part out, and there will be like a little thing in the audio that'll just say, Coach G modeling, Coach G modeling, Coach G modeling.
Well, make sure we add modeling active listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's how she feels when she does the editing.
Oh, good gosh.
I mean, I am pretty clean cut and shaven today, so
not all scruffy.
Well, if it makes y'all feel better, tomorrow I will be doing that myself because I got to go see the barber tomorrow because this weekend is street festival time. So I don't want to be out there looking overly scruffy when I'm out there introducing and emceeing in front of thousands and running back and forth and everything. So me and the barber will be seeing each other in about 12 hours.
Did he say tree festival?
Street festival.
Oh,
street.
I was like, what?
I was confused on where your disconnect was because I heard him right, but I saw your face.
Like, what?
The street festival.
Okay.
Street festival. Many cities have them. Unfortunately, the fine folks in St. Louis had to cancel theirs because of certain idiotic things that certain politicians said. So, but we did not have to deal with that. We're keeping ours going. But yeah, I was
trying to find the connection between this blues music guy and now all of a sudden he's a tree hugger. I'm like, what? What I missed in between here? But anyway,
a lot.
Connection. You missed a whole lot. But I am a tree hugger because I did grow up in the place that has one of the founding cities of the environmental justice movement. But that's a whole other story.
We digress.
Yes, we totally digress. We're going out with the mental health PSA and maybe one of the other PSAs as well. But it's always fun talking to y'all, and I'm always glad to get some good laughs with y'all as well. Because as I say about some of my other hosts, I consider y'all not just fellow Pi TV family, but also new friends in my life. So Lauren and Coach G, I definitely consider y'all to be friends, even if y'all are in KC and everything. And I just got to make one little teasing remark to you, Coach G. Y'all had me worried there because I'm sitting there going like, are they about to take an L to Cincinnati? But that field goal was at the last second and got that number 2 win and everything. So 2-0 is a great thing. But y'all did have me worried. I was actually going to get some food and they were watching the game and everything. And even the people that were there, I think they were part of a team over there at Duke. They were even nervous about y'all. They were like, oh, and then the field goal went through and they were less nervous.
Champions have to win ugly sometimes. The point is champions win.
They do win. True that. And on that note, we're going to go out with mental health. But definitely, as always, good talking to y'all.
Your boy, Coach G.
And Lauren, we out.
Later.
I just need to be left alone right now, man. No, Cam. I think the problem is that you've been left alone way too much.
Life's hard. The world is complicated.
Remember, you are not alone.
Love you, girl. I love you too.
Mental health challenges are common, treatable, and often preventable.
It's time to talk about it.
It's time to defy the fear and stigma that has made so many suffer in silence.
Instead, dare to love yourself and others.
Dare to ask for help and support.
I love you guys.
Dare to listen and show up for the people around you.
Join the conversation.